welcome back to From the Nosebleeds. I'm Thomas Pocrnic, joined by Thomas Coburn and producer Paolo Gismondi, here to preview once again this week's NFL games. We are at week 8, so close to the halfway point in the season, and hopefully by now we've learned enough to make some accurate predictions. Coburn, what's going on?
Nothing much accurate, if you say
I kind of struggled with that.
But kind of butchered that in the intro there.
It's early in the morning for me. I got to warm up a little bit better. But what's going on?
Nothing much. You just got to improve as the show goes on. Get better and better each minute.
I'm like Derrick Henry. The longer the show goes, the better I get.
The better you get. Yeah, maybe we got to start doing 3-hour episodes. I feel like last week though was one of the worst weeks of football this season. There were so many blowouts. So
it was like mega bye week. There were 3 double-digit spreads. There was no like, oh, this team's playing this team and they're both good. I just feel like every good team played a bad team. You're right. I don't know. I still watched. I loved it.
Lions, Rams, entertaining. Jack Fox didn't win special teams player of the week for the NFC. That's the biggest crime of all time. If you pull off 2 fake punts, you should win the award.
It's more on the coaching and a little bit of luck. But, hey, I'm surprised. Good for the Lions covering that spread. I called it. Did I not?
I don't know if you did. Did you?
Well, last week I said I was scared of the Lions. And I didn't want to touch them. I didn't want to touch that game at Survivor, and I didn't. I took the Cardinals. It was a nice, easy week for me. But yeah, overall, I agree with you. It was there weren't many great games, and there were a lot of good teams on bye at once, which is kind of rare and kind of unlucky. But week 8 is here. We'll kick it off with the Thursday night game, the Packers and the Cardinals, which was once an amazing game, one of the best Thursday night games we've had ever until COVID has hit the Packers. Devontae Adams is out. Alan Lazard is out. I don't know who Aaron Rodgers is throwing to. This might be a situation where he requests a trade before the game again, just because he doesn't have enough weapons. But yeah, Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites, which feels like a lot.
Honestly, to me, it makes the game more entertaining. This is like, because now this is just Rodgers all by himself. It's just going to be, I don't know how, like, what's the spread? 6.5. That's a big spread. Like, is this it's the Randall Cobb game? Isn't it?
Or is it the Bobby? It could be the Bobby Tunyon. Like, that guy's going crazy in fantasy pools coming off the waiver wire. Aaron Jones had like 4 carries last week. So they need to get him more involved. Even AJ Dillon, they completely abandoned the run a week ago. I don't know.
There'll be more of that.
6.5 is a lot.
Oh, I think it's too much. Like, sneak ahead to the spread picks. If that's available, I think there's a strong chance I'm taking that. We haven't went through every game yet, but I like the Packers to cover that. The Cardinals are a good team, but we've seen them, aside from last week, not really being able to put teams away some weeks. Yeah. And you still got Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's who's the most important. You still got Aaron Jones, who, like you said, did nothing last week. He's kind of been like boom or bust this season, where he goes off some weeks and then is quiet the other weeks. This could be a huge game for him, and Rodgers makes it work with whoever's out there. He just does.
So looking at this game now, honestly, with Devontae Adams, I felt like this was a great candidate for the Cardinals to lose their first game. Now that he's not there, I'm a little more concerned, just because no receiver in the NFL makes up a higher percentage of their team's receiving yards than Devontae Adams. So to me, that's a big, big concern. But you're right. They still have Aaron Jones. They still have Randall Cobb. They still have Robert Tunyon. It's more so like, I still think Rodgers is going to be able to score and pick up points just because he's that good. But I don't know how this Packers defense is going to hold up against that Cardinals offense.
Well, yeah, I mean, they realistically, I think the only way the Packers win this is if it's some sort of shootout, like both in the 30s. They just got to get the ball last, and Aaron Rodgers has to work his magic. But I mean, I think there's a decent possibility that happens.
I'll give a bold prediction before we go on. I'm gonna still take the Packers. I think that they're gonna win this game.
There you go. I think we both agree on that.
Let's see. Hopefully I'm right. It is like 6.5 is a lot, especially on the road, short week, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't really like doubting that guy. But we'll move on to the 1:00 games on Sunday. Halloween. I don't remember the last time that it would have been 5-6 years ago, considering leap years when the NFL played on Halloween. But yeah, hopefully the games don't get too spooky this year. But we'll start off with one that I'm honestly scared of, and that's my Dolphins going into Buffalo, 13.5-point favorites. Another double-digit spread to kick off the 1 o'clock games. Miami doesn't win in Buffalo when they're good, so it's just a matter of if they cover. Don't have to waste too much time.
Maybe it's the reversal. Maybe they're bad, so they'll win.
They win.
Because they just get dominated.
That would be a bright sign for me, especially with all this Deshaun nonsense going around right now. If they can keep up with Buffalo, not keep up, but if they can score, 24, 27 points and lose 37-27, I'll be happy with the game.
You just want, at the end of the season is now just about Tua playing well.
Exactly.
Don't lie. You don't even care if they win or lose. You just want them to play well. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to make the playoffs. For us to make the playoffs, we can't lose another game all season.
So you're not making the playoffs.
And I'm not going to sit here like you were a year ago and say the Lions are going to make the playoffs. We have an easy schedule going into Thanksgiving. We don't lose. Meanwhile, you guys rip off 8 losses in a row.
We should have won 8 games in a row, and I think we lost like 7 of the 8. And I thought we could win 8 in a row.
That really sounds like you should have won those then. No, I'm honestly at the point where the games that I once thought were winnable are now like dogfights. Like Jacksonville, we lost on a last-second field goal. Falcons, we lose on a last-second field goal again. Sundays have been tough for me, but like I said, we won't waste too much time here. The Bills are the cream of the crop in the AFC, and I think they take care of business. We'll move on to the Panthers and Falcons. Sam Darnold to the bench last week, and I honestly thought that was going to be the last domino to fall and that Deshaun Watson gets moved to Carolina. I read this morning that he's no longer going there. Again, this is not a crazy high-profile game.
This is a terrible game. This is a really bad game.
You're gonna be watching.
There's not much to say. I'll be honest. I might not even know who wins.
I find there's always one game every week where I have to actually check because I want to clock. I'm always keeping track of at least if there's 8 games on, I'm keeping track of at least 7. I'll tune in for at least 7 of them, switching through commercial. But there's always one where I'm just like, wait, who won? At around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I have to ask myself who won. This will be that game.
I will not watch a single snap. There's a 0% chance I watch a single snap of this game.
So I haven't read anything on Christian McCaffrey. Is he still on IR?
I only know this because I have him on one of my fantasy teams. Yeah, he's not playing.
Okay, I'm taking the Falcons. here.
All right, I'll take the Falcons and let's just move on because this game.
Panthers can't move the ball.
Terrible. Just move. Just go.
All right, this one's exciting. Steelers versus the Browns. The Browns are 3.5-point favorites. Last week they had Case Keenum. They had D'Ernest Johnson. This week Nick Chubb's back for sure. I don't know. The Browns, to me, I just think that they're so deep that they can get it done no matter who is lining up. Obviously, they're better with Baker Mayfield, but this is a big game in that division.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of makes me hesitant, the Steelers are off a bye. You got Big Ben on a little bit of rest that he needs a bye week every other week, it seems. But yeah, I think the Steelers will put up a fight. That spread's 3.5. That seems about right. It'll be a tough divisional matchup. The Steelers are still in it. If you're a Steelers fan, it looked ugly at the beginning. It looked like it could get really ugly. You're 3-3. I mean, you're tied with the Browns if you win this game. So, or actually, no, you'd be ahead of them because they'd be 4-4 and you'd be 4-3. So, huge game. I don't know. Mike Tomlin, they seem to always play well in big games. Aside, the playoffs last year, that was that was a big miss. But I don't know. I think the Browns will probably still win this game. Like you said, they're so deep, even with Kareem Hunt out. I think you could put one of us out there in the backfield and we get 50, 60 yards. That offensive, you think?
I don't know about you. I think I could.
Okay. Fair enough. You could, not me.
Yeah. Steelers, when I look at this team, I thought early, like you, I'm like, this is going to get ugly. They battled their way back to 500. My big concern with them is still, can they win the big divisional games? Because you said in the past, they've owned that division, but this year they've already dropped 1 to the Bengals. I don't really like their chances against the Ravens. Now they go into Cleveland, a place that they've hardly ever lost in the last 20 years, but it is a banged up team. I don't know. I still like the Browns. The Steelers to me this year, they scare me. I think they have so many holes, whereas the Browns, even with injuries, there's just such a more finished football team.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna. I'm excited. I will watch. I think I'll watch a lot of this game. Honestly, it'll be good. I want to see how the Steelers look after a bye week. I want to see how that offense looks. Given that week's rest.
It's just amazing to me that this time last year the Steelers were 7-0, and it's like
winning the Super Bowl.
Everyone was on like they're gonna win, and then they lost? Like I think since week 13 last year, their record is like 4-8 or something. It's pretty ridiculous how things have changed so quickly for them. But we'll move on here to the Bengals against the Joe Flacco-led Jets, that blockbuster trade that the Jets made this week. Zach Wilson, unfortunately, out with a sprained PCL. Let's be honest. This is let's make sure Jamar Chase wins the Offensive Rookie of the Year award game. Like, pad his stats even more. Feels like it to me anyways.
There's not too much to talk about this game. So do you know where your PCL is?
I know there's 3 ligaments in the knee. There's the ACL, the MCL, and the PCL. I don't know what is where. I just know that it always seems like, obviously the ACL is the worst one. When there's a sprained MCL, it's kind of concerning. It's like, oh, he sprained his MCL. He's going to miss a little bit. And I feel like PCL, like not to hate on it, but it kind of feels like it's never
like you can battle through it.
We dodged the bullet. It's only the PCL.
Yeah. Right.
We need to have a guest on the show.
A doctor
for him to explain this to us. Or we should
Our first guest is not even anything to do with football. Just a doctor.
Yeah,
just talk to us about the knee. I don't know. The Bengals are going to blow them out. No doubt in my mind. Unless maybe it's a Flacco revenge game against the Bengals, that vaunted division.
This is a team that he knows. Like, he turns back the clock against a former division rival and just delivers 3 touchdowns to Corey Davis. It's in New York. They have that going for them. But listen, I've already taken the Bengals in Survivor, but I would have loved to take them this week. That's what I'll say about this game, because the Bengals look so legit to me that I'm very, very confident that they pull this off.
Yeah, and I feel like people are still a little bit nervous to kind of take that jump and be like, okay, the Bengals are a legitimate team. But I'm with you. I think they are, and I think they cover that spread too. I think it's a big win for them.
All right, this one's an interesting one for NFL purposes, and I think it's an interesting one for our podcast purposes too, because your famous take going into the season was the Titans win 5 games this year. Now, if the Titans win one more game for the rest of the year, you're already wrong. They play the Colts, who I think both of us going into the season were pretty high on, and we thought we're going to win the division. They had a really rough start, but they've picked up a lot of steam. Quentin Nelson's finally back for them. They play at home against the Titans. Titans are 1-point favorites, so it's a pick 'em at this point. I don't know. This is a game that we'll look back on in January and say, wow, that really, in the end, decided a lot of things in this division. I think so anyways.
You talked about me saying the Titans wouldn't win more than 5 games. It was a little bit of a hot take, or a lot of bit of a hot take actually, but I was more
a freezing cold take. That's what it was.
Right. I'm dying on the hill that the Colts are winning the division. I haven't wavered from this one bit. The Colts are winning the division. They're the better team. The Titans look unbeatable, but the Colts, they're going to win this game. I'm telling you.
I still have belief in the Colts because I think they were never healthy early. As I said, Quentin Nelson's finally back. That defense is looking better every single week. They're sort of starting to get on a roll. And I don't think enough people are talking about Carson Wentz, because I'd easily take him over Ryan Tannehill right now. I think he's the far better quarterback in terms of performance. The only thing is can they stop Derrick Henry? Because no team has been able to do that so far. And the Titans, one of the main concerns why, not saying I agreed with you that they're going to be as bad as you thought, but I thought that they would take a step back, is I really didn't like their defense going into the season. But guys like Harold Landry have really emerged this year. He's second in the NFL in sacks. Their secondary is a little bit better than I expected as well. if the Colts win this game, it makes it very interesting because they'd just be one game behind. That's why I think it is must win. And then, you're one game behind. It's only week 8. Eventually, you got to think one team's going to stumble, one team's going to gain a win. It's far from over, but the Titans look really good, and Derrick Henry's been a machine.
Yeah, and I think the Titans have looked unreal, but also the Chiefs suck. The Chiefs stink, okay? They're a terrible football team. I'll say it. They don't suck, but they suck. So, I'm not that impressed by the win.
I might still pick the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. That's just me.
Maybe I'll pick the Giants money line.
I can't comprehend this Chiefs team. I'll still pick Mahomes in the end, but I'll probably be every week I'm getting less and less confident.
They suck. Aside from Mahomes, that team is not good.
Yeah.
And their offensive weapons. So they're, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, great players. And aside from that, I don't know, there's nothing else. Honey Badger, okay. One player on your defense, nice.
That defense, they've put a lot of money in that defense too, but it is concerning. But hey, you can't. It's one thing if the Titans barely beat the Chiefs. They beat the wheels off them, so you can't discredit that too much. But we'll move on to another 1:00 game. Your Detroit Lions. Now this is first win potential right here. I honestly think so because the Eagles. I know. Don't look at the records. I would say I'm more confident as a Lions fan on how the season's gone than if I were an Eagles fan.
This is the most conflicted as a Lions fan I felt going into a game this year. Last week, I've been on the train play well and lose. Last week was the first week all year that I was actually I wanted them to win last week. I was I don't care. I want them to beat Stafford in the Rams. It would be such you beat the 5-1 Rams and you're losing to all these other teams. It would just be the most Lions thing ever. I wanted it to happen so bad. This week, I'm scared they're gonna win, and I don't want them to, because I want that number one.
You don't
pick,
think that you don't want them to win at least one game? You don't want them to go on.
I want them to win.
Winless.
I want them to win, but make it later in the year when even if we win, we still get the number one pick.
You're gonna win.
This is gonna scare me,
right?
I think it's gonna be
probably win 2 or 3 games this year. I still believe that. Last year was an anomaly for a team to have one win. That's rare.
I guess. I honestly, I think the win happens this weekend. I think they're going to beat the Eagles. The defense has been playing better and better each week. I think they're going to win.
What's interesting to me about this game is it's obviously not going to be a blowout. And Jalen Hurts has had a tendency to play terrible for 3 quarters and then just go off in the 4th quarter. Oftentimes they're trailing big. He gets into the red zone. He runs it into the end zone 3 times, somehow walks away with 25 fantasy points every single week. It's going to be back and forth. And I know it's 2 bad teams, but I'm more interested in this game than I am in the aforementioned Falcons and Panthers game. I think I'm with you. I like the Lions in this one. I really, really do.
But then again, when everybody likes Lions, they lose. And when everybody thinks they have no chance, they play it tough.
Finding a way to lose this game late in the 4th quarter.
Do you remember when people thought they had a chance against the Bengals? Literally 2 weeks ago. They lost by 30 points.
That wasn't me, to be fair.
Well, okay, fair enough. But all I'm saying is that it's the Lions, whatever you think, it's the opposite. You think they're good? Okay, they're going to play terrible.
I'm all in on the Eagles.
They're done? All right, we're both. Yeah, I switched my mind. The Eagles are going to win by 25 points.
We'll move on to the 49ers and the Chicago Bears. Very, very interesting quote I read this morning from Allen Robinson talking about how it just really hasn't worked for him this year. He said that in preseason, he never really got a chance to play with Justin Fields. They never really got a chance to throw together. It was all Dalton and Robinson. And I just thought, wow, that's really a disaster if your rookie quarterback never got to throw to the franchise wide receiver, best player on your team, at least on the offense. The Bears, again, I don't think they're a good team, but they'll win games here and there. The 49ers, it's become must win at this point because their season's starting to look like a disaster.
Prematurely, I said that the Panthers and the Falcons was the worst game of the week, and I wouldn't watch a snap. This game is going to be terrible. This game will be, what's the over under on this? Yeah, that makes sense. 39.5. This game's going to be, you know what the score is going to be? It's going to be like 7-2. There's going to be a safety in this game. I'm guaranteeing a safety.
So I'm doubting
Matt Nagy. I'm doubting Matt Nagy. Let me be clear.
I think this is the game where if the Bears lose and it's bad again, that it's his last game as coach. Like a move has to be made at some point.
I think Bears fans would be thrilled to hear that.
Unless you want to just let the whole season happen because you have a young quarterback and then make the change in the offseason just so it's not such a disaster for him to start learning everything new again. I don't know.
Remember, you don't have a first-round pick.
That's not good either. Like even the 49ers though, very disappointing this season. I've found Brandon Ayuk, your guy Brandon Ayuk, man, a lot of your takes have not aged well. First the Giants, then the Titans, now Brandon Ayuk. He had one catch last week for 6 yards and he kicked the ball through the back of the end zone.
Okay. Brandon Ayuk has the potential to be a top 15 receiver in the NFL, and I will never back down from that take. Kyle Shanahan, I despise Kyle. I think I say this once a week on the show because each week it just gets worse and worse. The fact that they don't use this guy, like I get that it's Debo, apparently it's like Debo Samuel. Like maybe Kyle Shanahan's getting a portion of Debo Samuel's next contract. I don't know what's going on, but like Brandon Ayuk just doesn't exist anymore. He's dead in that offense.
I said earlier
he's
that
like
Devontae Adams had the largest percentage of his team's receiving yards in the NFL. Debo Samuel's second in that statistic. So I don't get it because last year, as high as you were on Brandon Ayuk, I was big on that train too. And I thought this guy had such a great rookie season. Nobody's talking about him. He's only going to get better in year two. And you're right. He's completely vanished. The 49ers, like all the reasons why I thought that they were going to be a good game going into the season, I just don't see it anymore. So yeah, a bit of a disappointing matchup with those two teams, but we'll move on. This is another edition of Will They Cover? Because that's literally all there is on this game. Rams 14.5 over the Texans. Are they covering? Yes or no? Because the Rams, they didn't cover last week, the big spread.
I think maybe they covered this week. I think there's a little bit of they didn't play that well at all against the Lions. Like, yeah, we can give obviously credit to the Lions, played them tough. You know, they stole 3 possessions, an onside kick, and 2 fake punts. It'll never happen again. But the Rams really should have covered in that game. Their offense was basically unstoppable. The Lions couldn't stop them. I think they were 9 of 13 on third down, which is kind of
that's insane. Good. That's a good stat.
It's decent, eh? It's yeah, good defense by our guys. But I think they do cover in what is it? 14.5. What was it last week? I think it was like 15.
I think it was 12. Was it 12.5?
Oh, did it go to 12? I don't know. Whatever. Either way, they didn't cover. But I'm going to say they do cover.
So I just want to say this one thing about Houston. They're really bad. But I think Tyrod Taylor's back this week. I think he is. And they were better with him earlier.
If he's back, I take that all back.
But the whole Davis Mills situation. So in all these Deshaun to Miami rumors, there's been a lot of teams that have come out and said they don't want Tua. And I think the thing with Houston is they don't want Tua because they're going to pick in the top 3 this year for sure, maybe even pick first overall. So they want to choose their own quarterback. They want it to be someone different. I've read outlets turn that into Houston likes Davis Mills over Tua, which is ridiculous. I'm sorry. They clearly don't believe that.
I don't know if we're going to see a quarterback go top 3 this year, though. Like the class is not that great. So
you think they're going to ride with Davis Mills for their future, who was, 111 for 171, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions this season?
Ugh. Yes, I will say that because they are the Houston Texans. So yes,
fair enough.
In fact, they will. So there you go. That justifies it.
The Seahawks at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you said that to me in the last 5 years, I'd think double-digit spread. The spread is now 3. I know Russell Wilson's out. Geno Smith and the Seahawks offense looked like a disaster on Monday night. Aside from that one big play to DK Metcalf, there was nothing going for them.
There are some really rough games this week. Like really,
you thought last week was bad.
Yeah, wow. There's some unwatchable football this week. Thursday night's terrific, and then after that, I don't know. Jaguars and Seahawks. I mean, what can you?
The good part is at this time it's 4:00. You might be getting ready for trick or treating, doing your Halloween costume up. So I mean, you don't technically have to watch, but maybe I'll go with another bold take. I think Trevor makes it 2 in a row. I think Urban Meyer makes it 2 in a row. I think the Jaguars win this one again.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. That's the Seahawks. I mean, the Geno Smith magic, it was there when Russell Wilson got hurt, when he came in, but when he's the actual starting quarterback, it doesn't really seem to click. Had that one huge touchdown to DK Metcalf, but that was basically all DK and the Saints defense blowing it. So, I mean, their offense can't do anything with him at the quarterback position, which is not surprising at all. But I honestly, yeah, I think the Jaguars win. I think they're without Russell Wilson, I think the Jaguars they might be the better team.
The only thing I'll say is that the Seahawks have yet to win a game at home this year, and that is crazy through week 8 because in recent history, they've been one of the best teams at home. It's one of the toughest places to play, especially now that there's fans back in the building. The Patriots hadn't won at home going to last week, and they beat the wheels off the Jets. But I still don't believe in this Geno-led offense. I loved it. I really enjoyed it that Thursday night. But what I saw last week was a disaster. What I saw the week before, also a bit of a disaster. The Seahawks managed to get 3 primetime games in a row. Even with Russell Wilson, I think that's a little excessive. I don't think that they're that good. But hey, I guess Russell Wilson's a star. People like to watch him on primetime. Fair enough. Happened that we got to see only 3/4 of him. But we'll move on to the Patriots and the Chargers. Chargers coming off a bye. Patriots coming off a big win over the New York Jets. Damian Harris looked awesome. Mac Jones has continued to look really good every week. Patriots, I still think that they're a sleeper to potentially squeak into a wild card spot.
100%. Like, you can say this about probably so many teams, but they're truly, I think I said this a couple of games ago and it still holds true. It's like they're a couple coin flips away from like having a much better record than what they have right now. I don't know if they'll be able to win this weekend. I think this is a huge bounce back spot for the Chargers. They kind of got embarrassed. They're off a bye, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they got embarrassed 2 weeks ago. They're off a bye. Brandon Staley off a bye. Let's see. Maybe he turns into the new. You don't want to see Brandon Staley off a bye. Maybe there's some trick plays there.
Goes for 4th and 20s instead of 4th and 9s.
Staley he's a coach right off of NFL Twitter, but I like the Patriots, and I still think that they could maybe make a wild card spot. I think this is a tough game for them to win. I think the Chargers kind of handle their business. They have division aspirations at this point. Patriots, I don't think they're there. They're a wild card team at best. I think the Chargers handle their business and win.
Now, the Patriots beat the Chargers, I think it was in SoFi as well last year, 37-0.
Right.
They blew them out. And I think Cam Newton had maybe just over 100 passing yards in that game. It was all special teams. It was all defense. It was all running the ball. I like the Chargers in this one, but I'm really interested to see Mac Jones against Justin Herbert, who's really become, in that elite tier of quarterbacks, if he can keep up, because they're going to have to open up the playbook for Mac a little bit more and take more shots down the field, which I think he could excel at doing. But I like the Chargers to bounce back as well. We'll move on to the Buccaneers and the Saints. The Saints beat the Bucs both times in the regular season last year before losing to them in the NFC divisional round. Jameis revenge game again. Bucs, no one's stopping this team right now.
It's an interesting spread. It opened at 4.5. Now it's at 5. I don't know if I'll be touching that game. It feels like a trap. It feels like it's kind of too easy. It feels like the Bucs should blow them out. But then again, right? Saints dominated them last year. I mean, you had Breeze instead of Jameis. I mean, you could argue who's better. That offense didn't look great against I'm blanking Seahawks, right? I don't know what to think. Divisional game, Saints at home. I think if I had to pick a spread, I actually might take the Saints just because I hate either side. But yeah, it is. It's a Jameis revenge game.
The
Saints at home, that crowd.
Yeah, if the Bucs are going to lose another game this year, I do think it's going to be in their division, just because they look so complete as a team, and you can't keep that consistency up for 18 weeks. Like you're gonna lose a game to a team that you're much better than, and that often happens in the division just because these teams each well. So I get why you're kind of saying like this could be a trap. I'm still not going to bet that happens this week. I still like the Bucs to win, and I don't know. Hopefully James can get it going a little bit more in the air. It was all Alvin Kamara Monday night. I guess it worked for them, but it doesn't seem sustainable against a better team. But we'll go over to the Washington football team against the Denver Broncos. Just give me a winner. That's it. That's all I want to hear from this game.
It's the worst slate of football of all time, and I said last week was bad.
Last week was way better
Washington.
than this.
Yeah. I'll take Washington to win. The Broncos might be the biggest frauds of all time. Like this team is a complete joke. The fact that they lost to the Browns is like, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Washington to win. That's all I have to say.
I think that the Washington defense is starting to click a little bit, so I think I'm going to agree with you on that. We'll go over to the Sunday night. I think the Sunday night redeems the week a bit because this is an exciting game because the Vikings always put up a fight even when they play against good teams. It's in Minnesota, which I think will be a little bit tough. I know Dallas is coming off bye. Who do you think wins this one?
I think the Cowboys probably pull it out. I think they're the better team than the Vikings, but I don't know. The Vikings at home, Sunday Night Football. I honestly, the whole slate is just, this is one big, it's a big waiting game to this game. I think this game's going to be really good. I can't wait for Justin Jefferson and Trayvon Diggs. Does he get another interception? It's Kirk Cousins. So I think it's
been really good this year. Like very, very underrated good. He's thrown 2 picks. I think he has 13 or 14 touchdowns. He has the Vikings in every game. He hasn't even had Dalvin Cook for most of the season too. So I think this is going to be a big test for the Cowboys defense. And if the Vikings want to keep up in that wild card race, they're going to have to win this game to go to 4-3. Vikings are even coming up by 2. So both teams are pretty fresh. I don't know. This is one where I definitely won't be touching the spread because it's only 2.5, but I just think it's going to be a really close game, and I don't know who's going to win. Although the Cowboys, to me, have looked like the better team so far, I could see an upset happening on Sunday, even though Kirk has a history of not doing well in primetime.
I was about to say, you're forgetting about Kirk in primetime. So maybe Trayvon Diggs does get another interception.
I could see it. I don't know how it keeps happening. It's like he has a magnet on his hands and they just keep throwing. He's a ball hawk. It's honestly amazing. I keep saying he's not going to keep up this pace, and he keeps doing it. We got one game left. It's the Monday night. This is your chance to get back on the Giants bandwagon because as much as you've been disappointed by them this season, I think you think the Chiefs are worse.
The Giants are clearly the better team.
I'm surprised it's 10 points. I'm honestly
that's a huge spread. That's it. There has to be some respect. The Chiefs, at a certain point, you got to stop looking at Mahomes and you just have to look at that defense and the team as a whole. They're an average football team. They're an average football team with an unreal quarterback, the best quarterback in the league. Sorry.
You still think Mahomes is the best quarterback? Like, he hasn't played like it this year.
He's the best quarterback in the league.
I agree. I think you can't say like, oh, Mahomes 2. I've seen people say a 2-year wonder. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no.
As bad as he's been this year.
That will age terribly. He fine.
Still is 3rd in the league in touchdowns, 4th in the league in yards. A week ago, he was 1st in touchdowns. He had a tough one last week. I don't know. 10 points I'm surprised it's that big. I feel like maybe this is a trap because the Chiefs have shown us so much bad in recent weeks. Now they're finally, just when we think, okay, the Chiefs suck, the Giants are easily going to cover. On prime time, they're just the same old Chiefs that we've seen the last 2 years, and they blow them out.
No, the Giants keep it close. These Giants, Daniel Jones. Is Saquon back? No, right?
No, he shouldn't be back. I think he's a long shot, or he's questionable, but it's one of those, it's a Monday Night Football, so I don't think anyone's going to risk it for fantasy. I don't know. We'll say this. Has Daniel Jones showed you enough this year? Because the Giants have 2 first-round picks. Has he shown you enough to be the quarterback next season?
I think so. I mean, I think you're wasting a pick if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round this year if you have Daniel Jones. It's like he hasn't been the problem. He had one bad game against the Rams. So what? So many quarterbacks have bad games against the Rams.
Plus, he made that one-handed catch last week. Incredible.
So he's a true dual threat quarterback, but not running, receiving. He's actually a triple threat. He can run.
He can run. He can run. He's
the only triple threat quarterback.
He only has 5 passing touchdowns this year.
So what?
To me, that's a little bit concerning. But
Jason Garrett, great job.
I don't know. The Chiefs need to win this. I don't know if they cover. That's the biggest head scratcher. But when we get into spread picks, which we're going to do right now, I won't be touching this game. Spoiler alert. And I feel like you will.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. It's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Week 8 spread picks. Now, I haven't mentioned this yet in the show. I've been saving it for the end. I'm coming off a red hot 4-0 week. First time it's been done this season.
Yeah, I think you don't know what your exact record is, but I'm 12-12. So I think that probably put you in front of me.
I got to go add up the record after this show. Yeah. I have no idea if it's good or bad. And honestly, I've been playing well that way. I don't think I've had many 1-3 weeks. I'm usually 2-2. I've had a couple 3-1s and now the 4-0. I've just been relaxed and just making my picks, not worrying about the record. And it's done all right for me. First 4. I don't even know if I ever went 4-0 last year. I don't think
there had to be a week.
You did it once.
I think I did it once or twice, yeah.
But can't complain.
No.
4-0. Even the Dolphins did for me. I had them at plus 2.5. And they got
and you have first pick. And I
first pick this week. So I'm on the clock. Now I wish I was a little more prepared for this first pick. I feel like there were a couple that I liked when we were going through the games. Let's see here. I am going to take, you know what? Give me the Colts in a pick 'em. Why not? They're at home. I'm liking Carson Wentz. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. I think it's going to be a real close game. Give me the Colts.
I'll be honest. That's bad sportsmanship to take that pick. That's my pick.
You were going to make that?
I just hate the Titans, and I said the Colts would win the division. But you know what?
Well, I have first pick, so I can do what I want. I have first pick.
Fair play. I'll take the Packers plus 6.5. If Rodgers gets COVID or whatever, then just wipe this pick off. That's not fair. But yeah, I'll take the Packers at plus 6.5. I think that game's a really close game. Fair enough. Is it bad sportsmanship if I take your Lions? No.
Or are you not going to touch that one?
No, yeah, you can take the Lions.
All right, give me the Lions at plus 3.5. This is first win. This is the week that they get that win. They've flirted with winning for too long, and they can't go much longer with a 0 in the win column. I like them in this game, and I'll gladly take it now that I got a 3.5 point cushion.
I'm fine that you took the Lions because I'm taking the Eagles. I know earlier in the show I said that this is where the Lions get the first win, but we've struggled with mobile quarterbacks in the last, I don't know, it feels like forever. We've never been able to contain them. So I think Jalen Hurts has a huge day. I think both offenses put up points, but Goff is going to Goff. He's going to mess up in the second half or do something. And that'll let the Eagles kind of pull ahead by maybe 10 points or something like that. I think the Eagles cover. I think they win. Everyone likes the Lions. I'll take the Eagles.
I'm very tempted to take the Dolphins, which I think would be like the 7th straight week. But I'm also tempted to take the Bills because I think it has blow-up potential. So I'm not going to touch that game. We talked about this game as being boring, one that we're not going to watch. Well, guess what? I'm going to be watching it now because give me the Falcons -3 at home. I was impressed with what I saw from that offense last week. Maybe it's just because the Dolphins defense is just not that great. But they've gotten Kyle Pitts going, and he looks unstoppable. He had over 150 yards last week, and I think the Panthers are going to have a hard time dealing with him. It's in Atlanta. Give me them to win by more than 3 points.
All right, I'm debating between here 2 primetime games. Do I take the Cowboys or do I take the Giants? That's the pick right now. I won't be able to live with myself if the Chiefs just blow the doors off of the Giants and I have the Giants at +10. I'll take the Cowboys at -2.5. It's close enough to where basically they just like it's pretty tough for them to win and not cover. So exactly, I'll take them to win by a field goal. I think the Cowboys are the better team. Vikings put up a fight, but Kirk Cousins in prime time, he shows up again. And Cowboys take care of business.
All right, we got our total left to pick. Now, I was thinking about this actually. Is it a rule that we just have to pick the total last, or do we both just not care about the total enough to use a top 3 pick on it?
I think it's more of like I like a total, and I'm so confident that you're not going to take the same total as me, but you might take the same game as me. I don't know.
I'll be so honest. I don't decide on my total until I pick my first 3 spread picks. And then I just scroll through, you know what? This one looks good. It's a 50-50.
That's fair.
If there's 50-50 shot every week, let's be honest. And I'm gonna stick with what worked for me a week ago. I took under on the Texans and the Cardinals just because I wasn't confident in the Texans' ability to score. The Texans play the Rams this week. It's in Houston, but I'm gonna go under 47.5 points.
I don't hate that pick at all. I think I was looking at that. That wasn't my first pick, so I'm glad that I get my first choice. But last week I picked the under in the Patriots game, and the Patriots covered the number by themselves. So that was a little disheartening. I'm not going to look at the Patriots game this week. Those 49ers and those Bears, 39.5, give me the under. Give me the under. It's such a low number that I go, it's going to be even lower than that. This is realistically, this is a 17-12 football game.
You're going to be,
that's all I got to say.
You are going to be taken aback when Justin Fields explodes, comes out of his shell for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and even a score on the ground.
Not against this Niners defense. They're not that bad. Come on.
The secondary is atrocious. I mean, I know it was raining last week, but it was just pass interference after pass interference last week against the Colts.
Watch. That number is begging people to bet the over, so take the under.
Honestly, I don't hate it. I see potential. I like that 17-12 score. We'll see. Maybe both. Actually, both of us, we can't both go 4-0 this week.
No.
Because you picked
one of us has got to be wrong. One of us has to be wrong. So no 8-0 week. Maybe a 7-1. I guess we'll be a 7-1 week. We'll settle for that.
Most of our picks are locks in the end. I'm honestly so excited to add up my record. That way everyone can see it on the screen. But that's going to do it for today's Week 8 NFL previews. If you made it to the end, thank you for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I always give you the last word, but we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week, and God help us, we'll have a better slate of games next week, because this is looking a little rough. Let's all be honest with each other.
All right, take care, guys.